In this episode, I'll answer a student's question about leading and following. So she wants to go deeper into following to create more harmony, but without giving up her leadership. I'll discuss some concepts around this, and we'll also describe how to practice it with your horse. So here we go, episode 131, Leading and Following. Hi, I'm Karen Rohlf, and welcome to Horse Training in Harmony. This podcast is about you making progress with your horse in a way that you both can love. It's about learning how to move and be in harmony. Because yes, you really can develop a horse to be both athletic and happy. When we show up as our best selves for our horses will show up for us. So, let's get started. As part of some of our online courses, we have live calls. So for the horsemanship course, I do 4 live calls a year, ongoing. For the sweet spot course, we do calls every week with myself and my DN coaches. And for the upward spiral course, which is the course after the sweet spot course, we do 2 calls a month with me. And they are so awesome because getting support along the way is so crucial to progress. And the online learning is amazing, but what really makes all the difference is being able to ask a question when you need to, or talking to someone, or getting someone to help you problem solve, or just take a quick look at a video and let you know what they think. So we love having these live calls as part of our courses. And it's also a chance to have some really cool discussions on, whatever students need. Some of the students on these calls, we've been following their progress, over years, which is just so cool. Anyway, recently I did a call for the Upward Spiral of Successful Gymnastics course. And someone asked a question about leading and following. And I thought it was an interesting enough concept. It's actually one of my favorite subjects that even though these Q&A calls are really exclusive to students inside the courses, I thought, I'm going to share this here to everybody on the podcast. So I hope you find it interesting. Consider it a little gift and maybe a little window inside the courses and what it's like to participate in them and just be able to sit down and have some really cool conversations. In the question, she refers to something from the Dressage Naturally book on page 168, where I talk about harmony being a horse and a human sharing the same picture. And I'm not going to read you that whole section, but one quote from it is that we can only lead that which we can follow. If we cannot go to harmony, then harmony cannot come to us. And so one of the most important keys to finding harmony with your horse is for us to be in harmony with them before we expect them to harmonize with us. The undemanding time that I've spent with my horses has paid off hugely in my training results and general partnership. What would it be like to spend a couple hours with your horse? Look where he looks, go where he goes, walk like he walks, and feel his energy. Can you harmonize with him? Can you give your horse the feeling of, hey, she's just like me? Skipping ahead a paragraph or 2, I write, when you truly release yourself to this moment, you may experience something other than leading or following. You may experience that your horse and you are sharing the moment. In that moment, neither is leading and neither is following. You are together and your horse is feeling the same thing. Okay, so now I will just let you join the Q&A call from the Upward Spiral course. You'll hear me reading her question, then I answer the question for a while, and then we chat a little bit more about it. So enjoy. She's been away on holidays and she's been reading the Dressage Naturally book. And the part where I talk about harmony on page 168 says a horse and a human sharing the same picture.
And she said, I wanted to know more about following and leading as a concept and how I can understand this concept and apply it to my riding with our Mani to create harmony. I'm at the equestrian park. I have a lot of access to acres with interesting things to play around. Armani's interest would be eating the best grass and exploring where he feels safe. My why is to go deeper, to improve harmony, but to have balance. So Armani respects my leadership so we can have fun. Just wondering how you play with this concept with your horses. Yeah, I mean, it's the leading and following is such a cool concept because it can, everybody has a slightly different definition of it. It can become almost philosophical, but, to be practical, think about there's two ways to get to harmony. One is you go completely with your horse and you share what they're doing. And the other way is that they share what you're doing. So that makes sense. Anything else, we're kind of in this in-between negotiation thing. And sometimes the easiest way to find harmony is to just do whatever the horse wants to do, right? That's the easiest way. And it's often an overlooked way, right? We humans tend to try to find the more complicated places. And that's why I think so much of this, starting from and returning to relaxation is so powerful. Because at least start with just do nothing. Just share the space with your horse and soak in that feeling of harmony. And that's really hard for humans to do because often we'll be standing still, but we're thinking things like, this is boring, or what is this? This isn't even a thing. Or I wish my horse, would stop doing X, Y, or Z while I'm trying to do nothing. So that practice of just being 100% okay with whatever your horse is doing is a really, really good practice. And of course, there can be rules and limits for that, right? If your horse was galloping towards a busy highway, that's not a good time to harmonize with him. So the other end of the coin, or the other end of the coin, the other side of the coin is that when you have something that you want to do, you're able to have your horse come with you. So that's the communication piece and the motivation piece. And, how do we ride or be a good horseman so that when we ask our horse a question, they end up going, sure, sure, I'll do that. And the reality is that most moments are kind of in this weird space where, let's say we're trotting a 20-meter circle. It's our idea that we asked for the circle, but they maybe are doing the circle. And we're in one of those moments where they're hooked on and they're in that sweet spot and they just let loose to it. And it feels like, oh my gosh, this is not taking any effort at all. And you could say, okay, we can be in harmony there, but who's leading, who's following? We can say we're following our horse, but the truth is, you're probably right, Renata, that if we were really letting the horse do whatever they want, they'd be eating grass. So there's this kind of shared moment where you lead your horse to do something that you asked them to do, and then you follow them in that. So that's active neutral, right? So that's the place where active neutral is so powerful because it is a harmonious movement. You're not leading it like you're controlling it, and you're not just doing whatever the horse wants to do, but you had an idea, you caused your horse to join you, and now you're in this active neutral. And then, the other reality is sometimes things change, right? So you're trotting this 20-meter circle, you're sharing this moment of oh my gosh, I don't even know who's leading and who's following. And then your horse has an idea. Maybe your horse transitions to the canter and you didn't even ask for it. So your horse has now taken over the leadership, but it might be a really nice canter, and they cantered because they felt ready to canter and they felt balanced and they felt like they wanted to. So of course, those are the best transitions. and your steps in the canter, totally taking over the leadership. And in that split second, you go, oh my gosh, this is a nice canter. And you decide to follow him. So for a moment, your horse led, you followed, and now you're both cantering and you've switched into an active neutral for cantering. And now you're sharing this movement again, where in now, as you continue, it might, if it's a nice, sweet spot and you're harmonizing with it in your best active neutral, neither of you might know who's leading or who's following anymore. You're both just enjoying the canter. But it could be that you're trotting that 20-meter circle, and then Armani goes, oh, look over there. I'm going to make a U-turn and pull the reins and then go throw my head on the ground and eat some grass. And in the split second that you feel him doing that, you might go, oh, I'm still the leader. I know in that shared moment, it was hard to tell who's leading and following. But when he asked that little question of hey, can I go over there and stop and eat grass? You could go, oh, on the circle. And so there's a few strides maybe of you leading, maybe he's not following so well, but you do all your horsemanship skills and rider skills. And then he's like, oh, okay, we're back on the circle. And now you're back in active neutral again. And sometimes those transitions between active neutral, my horse leading, me leading, can happen every few strides, right? So that's that moment where you're in neutral and then you go, oops, remember we're doing this. And then you're back in neutral again. And then you go, oops, remember we're doing this. And you're back in neutral again. And then pretty soon you're not having to spend so much time searching or correcting or reminding, and you're spending more and more time enjoying. So that's the practical application of what's happening when we're leading and following. And the alternative to what I just described, where it doesn't feel like those clear transitions, would be something that we all experience more than we would like sometimes, where, let's say, the horse, the horse offers to do something, but we don't really follow it. So the horse canters and we kind of wish he didn't canter, but we can't stop him. So he's cantering, but we're kind of wrestling with him to get back to a trot, or the horse has an idea and we go, no, I really would like you to stay on the circle, but we're not successful. So we wrestle, and then, we either have to over control or they end up doing whatever they want. Or they offer something nice and we're not really following it anymore because our brain is wishing or not paying attention or thinking of something else. So we get in that in between where we're not really following and we're not really leading either. And then that's not an active, neutral, yummy moment. That's just controlling, negotiating, all those moments that aren't quite there yet. And that's why we have to be careful, because we can live there a long time. So I think, if you want to just kind of have fun, this is an exercise I show in the horsemanship course, where you on purpose go out with your horse and you go, okay, horse, you lead. I'm going to go wherever you want. And then you can do that for however long you want. And then at any moment you can go, okay, now I lead. And it could be simple. It could be a thing where you wander around and you go, okay, I'm going to go exactly here at this walk. And when we get to the tree, I'm going to switch and let you do whatever you want. And he can graze or he can go sniff around or whatever. And then you go, okay, now I'm the leader. And you follow me and you practice making those transitions easily. So you can practice giving up, feeling it's okay to give up leadership because you practice getting it back. And yeah, I can let my horse do whatever he wants because I know in a heartbeat, I'll have him back. I'll be like, hey, Armani, hey, Armani, I'm back. I'm the leader now. And come to attention and all that. Okay, so I've been yammering on for a little while. Hopefully the meeting is still running and you're all still there. So let's hear if that helped Renata.
Yes, no, that was really what I wanted to hear. Thank you. No, especially with the leading and the following bit. And I forgot about the horsemanship course, so about the leading and following. I'll look that up. Yeah, I would love to have a session where I just let Amani lead.
Mm-hmm.
And
That could be really fun.
I've seen you do that with Natia, I think, in one of the videos somewhere, and she does awesome things. I don't think Amani would do that. Do you know the one I'm talking
it can be
about?
it can be really fun. Like if I want to have an amusing day, getting on Ovation and letting him do what he wants is hilarious. He is the king of the U-turn. So he'll like boldly go and then he'll do a U-turn.
Yeah.
Like really confidently. And then he'll like do another U-turn. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's really interesting to see their mind work. And then he likes to go to a couple particular trees and just meditate there for a while. And then he'll go so it can be really, really fun. And you're allowed to have boundaries of like which gate it's at, or you know, you just have to know your boundaries to keep it safe. But it's a really excellent exercise to practice. I think most of the time we humans don't spend enough time just, you know, on purpose, following mentally, emotionally, and physically 100%.
Yeah, no, that's right. It was an Ovation, which, well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that, and I hope to have some fun with it when I get back from my holidays.
Yeah, and you know, one other thing is like you can have whatever rules you want. So if Armani just grazes, and you're like, you know, okay, that was fun for the first session, but you can have a rule going, you can go wherever you want as long as you stay at a walk. You know, so you can have rules, and it's really nice to practice you separating out, you know, can you completely follow the line of direction while leading, you know, that it needs to be a walk, any kind of walk. But you can, but if he stops walking, then you do something to cause it to be a walk again, whether he stops or he trots. Like you can decide to have some rules. And I think that's another fun exercise to say, can I talk to you about one thing, but not talk to you about anything else? So that's another good exercise of just your own focus. Can I talk to him about his, you know, staying at the walk, without taking over control of the reins or the direction?
Oh, that's awesome. I went to a Pirelli clinic years ago and they did the passenger lesson. I think there was 4 horses in it. One horse did not move for a whole hour. I think it moved one step. She just sat there and the other horses want to come to it, but she had her carrot stick and she would do the friendly to shoo it away. And then there's the others running around. But I was just amazed that this one was a left brain, probably introvert, and it never moved. But it did improve.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes it's really powerful to let the horse do their idea, because you know, and because often what'll happen, if I do this in an arena, what often happens is there'll be an initial little bit of chaos, and then the horse will get on a pattern, whatever the pattern is, whether it's just standing still or they like go to that corner and then they stop and then they turn around, then they go to a different corner and then they stop, and it'll be like the same pattern. And it's really interesting to not interrupt it. And then at some point they change their mind. They go, I think I'd like to do something different. And that process of a horse thinking, I'm going to do something differently, is a really important process for training a horse, right? A horse who doesn't ever think, maybe I should try something different, is really hard to train, right? So whatever their idea is, if we're kind of feeling safe with it, it can be very, very interesting to let them do their idea. Maybe that horse who didn't move, like always is being pushed and it's always thinking, oh God, I just want to stand still. So let it stand still. And then at some point, it'll probably think, you know, I think I'd like to go over there. And that switch of the horse going, I think I'd like to do something different, is more powerful than any kind of pushing you can do, because it's the horse saying, I would actually like to move now. So I think it could be, there's so many different ways to think about it, but yeah, have fun with it. And I'll be curious to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, I know Marnie won't stand there. He will move at least. He's curious, more curious. But that lady, that girl though, she'd be probably a level 4, and she does demonstrations now with that horse. So they've moved on.
Yeah, and you can learn like what does Armani think is the tasty grass? Like, I know what weeds my horses like. I'm like, really? You guys like eating that stuff? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that doesn't look very tasty, but they're, oh God, Mom, you have no idea. This stuff right here, this is the bomb. you know, so you learn something.
Yeah, all right. I know, like, loves thistles and things. Anyway, thank you so much. Great.
You're welcome.